Hello, fellow peasants. Today I'll be doing my spoiler review of The Exorcist Believer. All right, guys. So I went last night to go watch The Exorcist Believer, and this is a spoiler review. So if you don't want the movie to be spoiled, turn this off and go watch my non-spoiler review that I just did, literally like 5 minutes ago. What did I think of the film? Well, I already told you what I thought of the film in the non-spoiler. Didn't like it. Thought it was horrible. Thought the movie was dog shit. Even on its own, it doesn't stand on its own as a decent film, let alone compared to the original Exorcist. So I'm going to go through the film, roughly from what I remember of the story last night, and tell you what I think about that. So the movie opens up in Haiti, where the main character, Tanner, and his wife, they're photographers, and they're down there in Haiti. She's pregnant, and they're doing whatever they're doing. And that's all good and well. It's interesting, kinda, I guess. It's a nice setting. It's cool. But feels like an Iraq ripoff from the first movie. A little bit, like we got to open in a foreign land somewhere, because that makes it more worldly or interesting. I don't know. But it wasn't too bad. Earthquake happens, and they're like, the mother is gonna die because she's pregnant. You got to choose either the wife or your baby. And then it cuts to present day, 13 years later, and he's got his little girl is in the house. You're like, oh, okay, well, I guess he chose the daughter because here she is, you know. So you kind of get a sense of their relationship. They're making breakfast in the morning and joking around with each other and whatnot. Then he drops her off at school. She's friends with this girl named Catherine, who is the daughter of the lady from Sugarland. And I don't even remember the lady from Sugarland's character's name in this. But though that set of parents, they're kind of assholes. They're kind of selfish and entitled. The main character in this, he's kind of like, he's not religious at all. And I think it's due to what happened in Haiti, where he had to choose between his wife and his baby. So he lost faith. So he's not really religious anymore. And then Catherine's parents, they are religious. They're like Baptist or some sort of Protestant or something. I don't know. and so Tanner's daughter is friends with their daughter, and after school one day they go off into the woods and they do some seance, some sort of ritual, because Tanner's daughter wants to get in touch with her mom through the spirit world, and they do some sort of ritual and stuff like that. All of that is okay, I suppose. It's just kind of like, it's just not shot well. Like, especially the scenes in the woods. Like, those were the most generic, like, straight to Netflix cinematography shots of the woods. Like I don't know. It's just being super picky, but this movie feels so vanilla. It just feels so bland. Like, the idea, a lot of time the ideas on paper for this film sound a lot better than how they execute it through dialogue and cinematography. Just like the overall concept of some of this stuff is a lot better on paper than how they execute it, for sure. And so they go missing for like 3 days. They're found in a barn. These farmers, this kid who works on this or lives on this farm, he finds the girls in the barn. They take the girls to the doctor. They're doing all these tests to see, like, what's wrong with them. and they seem to be fine at first. They go home, and then that's when the exorcism-y possession stuff starts. Not once, like, during the movie, and I'm not saying we need to have all the tests ran and stuff. We saw that in the first Exorcist, where they're doing all the tests and things like that. But they jump to it pretty quick. Like there's not really a whole lot of in between. Like they're acting normal when they get home at first, and then there's a brief period of like the parents kind of being like, something's up, and then it's full on possession. Like it kind of jumps to them being like real nasty, and then accepting, like, okay, possession is what's happening. Like in the first film, it took a while. Like Chris went through all these doctors and all these psychologists, and I understand for Catherine's family, because they're already religious, so they were like, oh yeah. I mean, like, as soon as the girls came back from the barn, the mom from Sugarland was like, oh yeah, it's demonic possession. She was right on it. I understand that. But once Ann Dowd's character, Ann Dowd's character was, you find out, was like, 'cause Ann Dowd is the neighbor of Tanner. She's Tanner's neighbor. And so she says to him one day, I was going to be a nun, but then I had an abortion, and that ruined me from being in the nun world, or nunnery, or whatever you want to call it. And she's like, your daughter knew the name of my baby that I never had. And then this light bulb clicks on in his head, and he's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's possession. I mean, I'm not saying, that is odd that she would know that. But he like flipped a switch, like, it seems like real freaking quick. And that's another thing with this, is kind of like, hold on a second. I'll get back to what I was saying, but they literally have a boxing scene with the dad in this movie, with the main character, Tanner. There's he boxes. Like, for real, we had to have a boxing scene. Like, he had to be he couldn't, like, be out jogging, playing tennis. He couldn't be anything else. He had to be, what's the odds that he is having he's struggling in his faith, and he likes to box? And Father Karras struggled with his faith, and he liked to box. So get the fuck out of here. So there's that scene where it's like, really? He boxes? Okay. There's all kinds of shit like that in this movie, like the dogs fighting. The movie opens with those dogs fighting. It's like, did we really need dogs fighting in a foreign land, just like the shot in Iraq? But anyway, so he's like, do you know anyone who's dealt with this shit before? And she's like, no, I haven't seen it, but someone else has. And so he reads Chris McNeil's book. Chris McNeil wrote a book about her experience with Reagan being possessed. And you come to find out that Reagan didn't like that her mom wrote the book, so they're like separated from each other right now. They don't talk to each other. They haven't talked to each other in years. Chris McNeil is like kind of a lonely booze hound, typical of legacy characters, to be living alone, elderly, drinking, estranged from their family members. Of course, they had to, like, Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode this. So the dad goes to her. She is like, do you believe, he's like, do you believe in demons? Do you believe in this possession stuff? And she's like, it's not about believing in it. It's, what does she say? It's a form of suggestion or something, or it's like, no, dude, the doctor at the clinic in 1973 told you it's a form of suggestion. Because they say in the first film, the doctor says in the first film, if the patient believes in demonic possession, they believe they can be possessed, that means they can also believe that the exorcism will work. Like a placebo pill is basically what he's saying. But she knew there was more going on than that in the first movie. That's why she went to Father Karras. So I don't know why in this film she's now like playing it off like what happened to Reagan was maybe not demonic possession, but just, a form of suggestion. It was all in her head or something. Like, that was a weird line. And then she's like, I wasn't there for the exorcism. I wasn't upstairs. Probably because I'm not part of the patriarchy. And it's like, oh my God. They, like, you really, like, okay, so she, like, did they really need to throw in there that, like, the men didn't let her upstairs in the room that night in 1973? Women have no need to be part of, like, get the fuck out of here with this. Like, why would she have been in the room with Marin and Karras? She didn't need to be in there. She's not performing the ritual. She probably wasn't in the right mind state to be part of the ritual. She's not a priest. The demon could have fucked with her head, right? I mean, even Father Marin tells Karras to get the hell out of the room after it starts toying with him, and he's like, "You're not my mother." Marin's like, "Get out. Get out." Because if you're vulnerable and you're weak and you let the demon fuck with your head, that's not going to help the exorcism process. Like, you need to, like, be able to let that shit go in one ear and out the other. You can't let it play mind games with you or it's going to win. You know what I mean? So why would she have been up there in the room with them? And it's not like in the first movie, she asked, like, hey, can I join in on this? And they were like, no, bitch, like, you're not allowed up here. Like, boys only. So that was thrown in there, of course. She's in the movie for like 5-7 minutes. Wasted. She goes to, it's just completely wasted. They go to the Sugarland family's house. They go to Catherine's house. Catherine's possessed. Their house is a wreck. And she's sitting on the bed eating Bible pages. And Chris McNeil comes in and she's like, we've met before. You know me. I know you. And the little girl starts doing like, it burns, it hurts, mother, stop it, blah, 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 blah. Like all this throwback to the original stuff. And it's cringy. And Chris McNeil says some cringy lines of dialogue. And then the girl, like, takes a crucifix and stabs Chris McNeil's eyes out. She gouges her eyes out. And it was so cartoonishly done and cheap. I mean, like, me and my cousin were just sitting there laughing in the movie theater. Because it was just... It was, like, cheap, straight to DVD, Netflix, Redbox... quality, how this was executed. You know what I mean? So Chris McNeil's out of the game now, right? Her eyes have been gouged out, so now she's at a hospital with a bandage over her face. And then after all that happens, all the religious leaders, like this voodoo lady comes over, the Sugarland family's pastor comes over, the guy, because there's a scene in the church like you saw in the trailers where Catherine gets up and comes walking down the aisle and says, the body and the blood, the body and the blood. I'll give them credit on this. They took out the robotic double voice thing that was in the trailer on that. That's more natural in this. And the scene actually plays out a lot better in the film than it does in the trailer. It's still not creepy. It's still not scary or anything. But yeah, so the pastor from that scene, he comes over to Tanner's house. So everyone gets together. Everyone has a big powwow at Tanner's house. And they strap the girls to 2 chairs and set up these heart monitors, and their hearts are beating in sync and blah, blah, blah. You heard that in the trailer. But before they go inside the house, the parents and the religious leaders are outside, and they're like, it's going to take all of us. All of us. It takes all kinds. It takes a village. And it's just really corny. It's just super cheesy. It's like We Are the World, Kumbaya. Like David Gordon Green wanted to. It's like he didn't want to have Catholicism be the hero or Christianity be the hero in the film. It's almost like they were like dead set against something like that, and they were just like, look, we're not going to go with what they did in the 70s. This is a new day where every religion is equal, and they're all going to get a shot, and that's fine if this is a brand new franchise, but it's not a brand new franchise. In the first film, the demon uses the name of Jesus. The demon desecrates the Catholic Church. The exorcism levitated her at one point in the first film. There's just all kinds of other ways. Like, there's the first film, the demon in the first film is very wrapped up and very interested in the Christian God and Christian mythology, right? So if the demon in the first movie doesn't belong to the Christian religion, why would it waste the time to desecrate the Catholic Church? Why would it use Jesus' name in the crucifix scene? Why, even in this movie, does the demon choose the Holy Bible to eat the pages? And it just seems very like, nah, I'm gonna stick it to them, and I'm gonna include people because I know that pisses a lot of people off. Inclusion doesn't piss me off. It pisses me off when it's not done genuinely, and this didn't feel genuine, and it didn't feel like it matched what it was established in the first film. Now, did the exorcism technically work in the first film? Maren died, Karis died, but she did levitate, and she did respond to the exorcism ritual, and like I said, all the other things that happened in the film. So, and Father Merrin had previously, like in the first film, they say the last exorcism he did took months, damn near killed him. So Father Merrin has like previous success exorcising demons with the Catholic ritual. And then they're like, in this one, they're like, I don't know. I don't know which one's going to work, right? Anyway, so we get into the exorcism scene in this film, and everyone gets their turn. Everyone's screaming something at the girls, whether it's the voodoo lady spitting into the fireplace and dropping stuff on them, or it's the Catholic priest. The Catholic priest is like sitting out in the car at the end of this meal. Like everyone else is in the house, and he's like, oh, I haven't been approved yet. The church hasn't approved me yet. So he's like sitting out in his car, in his 4-door sedan out in the street, like with his rosary, praying while everyone else is in there doing like the real deal shit. One point the dad came outside and like knocked on the car window and was like, hey bro, you want to come in here? Like, Like, this is where everything's happening. Eventually, he comes in because the exorcism isn't working. The girls are just getting nastier and nastier. And nastier looking, because they ain't saying anything that's worth a shit. Nothing scary, nothing creepy. Finally, the priest comes in, and you think, oh, shit, like, he's going to come in. He's going to fix this, right? Well, they break his neck. They turn their heads, and like by doing that, they magically like turn his head, and so his head turns all the way around like 360, like 180 or whatever, and breaks. So they kill the priest. He falls dead on the floor. The one girl lives, one girl dies. So Catherine dies. And I think Catherine dies because the demon's like, choose one. One girl lives, one girl dies, you choose. And at first, both sets of parents say, we're not going to choose, we're not going to choose, we're not going to choose, right? We're not going to choose. And then the asshole dad from the Protestant family, Sugarland family, he's like, I choose you, Catherine, I choose you. And then Catherine dies. Because I think what happened there was like the demon was like, I'm going to kill the kid of the family that's selfish enough to choose. And so Leslie Odom Jr.'s character, Tanner, he didn't choose. He wasn't selfish. So his daughter lived, right? Olivia lived. I think it was, I can't remember. What's her name in real life? Anyway, his daughter lives. Catherine dies. I think it's because the dad was a selfish prick, and the demon was like, yeah, you were selfish enough to choose. So I'm going to kill your daughter. And so she dies. And there's some monologue at the end, like, about what evil is and how to get over it. And at the very end, it shows Chris McNeil in the hospital room with her eyes gouged out and the bandage over her face. And someone walks in her hospital room and she's like, Tanner, or whoever she says it is that you? And she goes, no, Mom, it's me. And it's Reagan. It's Linda Blair. Linda Blair shows up for like the last 4 seconds in this film. God, what an abysmal piece of trash. This film was horrible. And honest to God, they had no material to work with to make this movie. I have no clue how they're going to make 2 more movies. I mean, they were scraping the bottom of the barrel with their fucking teeth to get some material for this film. I don't know what they're going to have to find a new barrel. Or I don't know. I don't know what they're going to have to do to come up with. There's just like, how do you make 2 more movies out of this? The one girl's alive, not possessed anymore. The other girl died. So what? Are we going to get all new girls to get possessed? Is something going to happen now? Like, is something demonic-wise going to happen with Reagan and Chris McNeil? Like, are they going to come back into the fold somehow? Like, I don't understand. Like, there was nothing left to say after 1973. And there was nothing left to say after this movie. There's even less now. What a clown show this movie was. What an embarrassing clown show. What a joke. What a joke. I laughed several times throughout this. And so to wrap this up, did it succeed in the 3 things I talked about earlier? Which the first one was character development, drama, story, character-driven story. No, not really. I wasn't that interested. Too many goddamn characters. Too many people in this. Too many hands in the pot. Just a lot of... You can't focus on 2 to 3 people. There's like 10 characters in this movie or something. It's just... There's too much going on. The scares. I wanted natural scares. I didn't want big boom scare things. You know what I mean? Like jump scares. That's all it is. Every scare in this movie is a boom with the effect. Boom, boom. Or a boom. Like at one point at the beginning, when he's down in the hole where the girls were out doing the seance, he lifts a rock up and a snake comes out. And it's boom. They could have not had that sound effect. He could have pulled the rock up and the snake could have just hissed and he moved his hand back real quick. That would have been enough. You didn't need the in the fucking movie theater to rattle the ass on my seat. And then the cinematography wise, I wanted some like throwback cinematography. I mean, this just looks so standard. Like, this looks so cookie cutter Netflix special cinematography, just like the Halloween trilogy did. So it failed on the three things that I wanted it to do. It didn't feel at all like I was in the Exorcist universe. It didn't feel like a classy, prestigious drama. This is just like the first film is wrapped up in Georgetown University, the doctors, the rich actors, the astronauts, the priests. I mean, the elite of that community, and the feeling of like academia and religion and the fall atmosphere in the first film. It just feels so cold and just so astute. The first film, it just feels, it's smart. And this film is just, I don't know. I get it. They were like, oh, this could be anybody in the suburbs. This could be any normal family. I get it. But at the same time, it's like the level of gravitas and class and it's just a different atmosphere. It's not an atmosphere I liked. It's not a world that I want to be in over and over again. And that's it, guys. I don't have anything else to say about this movie. It was horrible. I will never watch it again. And I'm Exorcist out. I am very... I've watched the original several times this year alone. I've watched the 4K like 3 times by now. I watched the original in theaters earlier this week, just Wednesday. And I just went and saw this. So, this is pretty much it for the rest of the year on Exorcist material, unless some news update pops up or something in the future, something radical. But I'm kind of done with Exorcist for now in terms of content on the channel. So thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully this didn't let you down too much, but hopefully at this point you've seen the film if you watched this review. So all right, guys, that's it, peasants. Peace out. Bye-bye.